This isn't the top of the line Tucson, so. Yeah, I mean, it moves. Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's going to be going over the all-new Hyundai Tucson XRT. Before we get into this video though, a huge shout out and thank you to the Ken Garf Hyundai here in Southtown, Utah for giving me some time with this Tucson. This one is available for sale for the time being, so if you're interested, I'll include a link to their inventory in the description down below so you can check out that and the other vehicles that they have. And if you have any questions or need any help, just ask for Ryan. And then on a side note, if you want to save time and money the next time purchase a car, link to my car buying guide in the description down below. Let's get into it. Under the hood, we have a naturally aspirated 2.5 liter 4-cylinder that goes through an 8-speed automatic transmission. Fuel economy is 23 around town and then 28 on the highway, with power outputs being 187 horsepower and then 178 pound-feet of torque. Now, before we go over the front end, I do want to mention, if you want to see more videos just like this, then I recommend you subscribe because I post content every single day. Starting with the hood, it's actually pretty distinctive. You've got really sharp lines and it kind of has like a boxy type design because of those sharp lines. But then once you come to the front end, everything kind of rounds off. You've got those unique daytime running lights there with the headlight off to the side. It is an LED, and everything's been darkened on this XRT package to kind of make it look sportier, except for the Hyundai logo there in the center. And then when you put it all together, I think that the Tucson is a pretty good looking crossover. So coming around the side here, our tire and wheel setup is 235, 55, 19 in the front and over in the rear as well. You can see that the wheels are all blacked out. Definitely love the design. It kind of has like a cool off-roader appearance to it because of that. We've got these really chunky fender flares here. They look super aggressive. You've got these side steps here, and then notice the plastic molding there on the side as well. And then when you put it all together, the chunky fender flares, the side steps, the wheels, and then all the crazy lines that happen on the Tucson, this thing looks pretty insane. So here is the key fob for the Tucson. You can see you've got the Hyundai logo there on the back. We have our lock function or unlock function. That's the opening for the hatch, your remote start function, and the horn function. So just hold that down and it'll pop right open. Now, before we pop in, I do need to mention that everything is wrapped from the factory because this literally just arrived, and well, that's just how it's going to be in today's video. But we have these latches to throw down the second row. You've actually got this little charging outlet here in the back as well. But even with the second row folded up, the second row ends like right there. There is a ton of storage space in the rear of the Tucson. And then underneath the loading floor in the back, we do have a spare tire. When you're all done with everything in the rear, just press that button and that will lower the hatch right back down. So first off, we have these pretty crazy looking taillights. You guys can see that goes to like a light bar, and then we've got our XRT badge down below. And then down below, we've got some pretty interesting trim right here. We do have parking sensors here on the bottom, and then you guys can see the receiver hitch down below, and then we have a little label there for the button to open up the hatch. And wrapping things up with the rest of the rear, I think that it actually looks really good, especially with this XRT package. And then notice we do have those crossbars there at the top. Starting with the door panel here, you guys can see you've got the dark trim with the silver trim around it. Kind of goes all the way down, and then we've got this like cloth trim down below that and a nice padding where you're going to rest your arm. Got our window control here, pretty normal door handle. One of the speakers for the sound system, and decent storage with the door panel. Now, like I said, everything is still covered up. This is just the life that I live because I like to review cars as soon as they get to places because everything sells so fast. But you guys can see they're perforated with the seats. Pretty standard stuff with a lot of Hyundais I've noticed nowadays. But what really matters about these seats is, well, legroom and comfort. Legroom's really solid, comfort's actually really good. We've got some vents there in the center and then some USBs down below, and then we do have a little storage net. Headroom's also pretty good. We do have a cup holder armrest, but it's locked behind the plastic. With the front door panel, you can see again the dark trim with the silver trim around it, just like in the back. Got the cloth trim down below that, and then the nice padding. All of our window controls right here with the mirror adjustments. The mirrors do have blind spot monitoring, and then, you know, again, storage there on the door panel. And then the front seats here are identical to the rear, so you guys can see it's a little bit better because the plastic's kind of stretched over it, but perforated all down the center of the seat, and then it is power adjustable. Pretty normal pedal layout down below, and then we have buttons for like the stability control, and that's to open up the hatch. Steering wheel is manually adjustable. Starting with the steering wheel, you've got really nice padding all around and got a 2-spoke design, which I think looks pretty good. You got nice silver trim there. This does come with adaptive cruise control as well as steering assistance. We got our voice command, volume controls, and of course turn signal light stock, windshield wiper stock. We've got this full digital gauge cluster here. It shows you standard information like, hey, that's how much range I have until I'm out of gas. And I can scroll through some different menus, see different bits of info on the vehicle. Fun party trick though is obviously with the drive modes. So we've got a snow mode, we've got a normal, sport, that's when it changes a lot. Then you got a smart mode as well. Let me know if you like the sport mode gauge or the normal mode gauge more. We have this backup camera here with trajectory lines that do turn with the steering wheel. And if we press this little button here, it lets you like change the camera view to zoom in. That's the rest of the infotainment screen. First off, response time is great, and well, it's a pretty standard Hyundai screen. It's got like the quiet mode, for example. Got a valet mode as well. You've got a bunch of like analog controls down below. So for example, I can press the map button. They're not like they are physical buttons, but like they're not buttons that you like actually press in. It's just kind of like almost touchscreen type button, if that makes sense, but it's not a screen. It's hard to explain, but if you get in the car, you'll understand. And then we do have our dual zone climate controls just down below that. Pretty easy to use, and you guys can see all of the different buttons for the system. So this is our charging area. We've got some USBs, and then we do have a wireless phone charging pad as well. Here's a shifter for the 8-speed automatic transmission. It does have a manual shift function. You got some cup holders here. Auto stop start, that's for the camera to pop it on. You've got this for the center locker to make it so the torque distribution front to rear is equal. Hill descent control, auto hold, and then parking brake. And then you guys can probably see the heated seat controls on this little panel right next to it. And speaking of panel right next to it, if I press this button, it actually pops open the glove box, which has a decent amount of storage space. Now, interesting design detail is how this kind of like all connects. That's one of the vents. And then you can see on the other side, again, it's kind of like all in a line. And then you do have some nice cloth padding. And then the dash also is soft touch. And, well, we have a glove box, which is pretty normal. So up top, we've got controls for the lights, lighter colored headliner, not much else to talk about. So here's our window sticker for this XRT. First off, you guys can see 5-year, 60,000 mile new vehicle warranty, 10-year, 100,000 mile on the powertrain. And pretty much everything is standard with this. Base MSRP, $34,775. The stuff that's extra is like carpeted floor mats and everything. But anyways, total MSRP, $36,520. And let's see how it drives. Let's talk about visibility before we set off. Here's your visibility over the hood. Both the mirrors, do a blind spot monitoring. And through the rest of the rear. And let's set off. So, setting off in the Tucson also. That is an interesting Ionic 5. It's like super wrapped. Interesting. It's so weird to drive with like a plastic covering over a steering wheel. That is definitely interesting. But you know what? I like it. It makes it feel brand new. It's like when you you know, go to someone's house that has like the plastic wrapping on the couch cushions. it's kind of like the same thing. But anyways, you know, this 2.5 liter does a pretty good job of getting up and moving. Suspension is pretty comfortable as well with the new Tucson. Seat comfort's really good. I do like the seats a lot, so that's a big plus. No turn signal camera, but this isn't a top of the line Tucson, so. Yeah, I mean, it moves. Let's actually see if it'll show me. There we go. It shows torque distribution. So definitely it sends more power to the front wheels than it does to the back. That's why you have the locker, so that you can make it so it's more equal front to back with the Tucson. But let's get to setting things up here with the Tucson. I know it's a short drive, but I've driven quite a few of these, and well, just kind of for show's sake, right? I like the exterior styling on this XRT quite a bit. I know for some people it might be a little bit over the top, but I think it looks good. I think that it's funky, it's out there, and it's just something that's interesting, that's for sure. And then this interior is really nice, full on luxury. The only thing this is frankly missing feature-wise that you can, you know, get on some higher up packages like 360 camera, air-conditioned seats. But I mean, those are luxury features, right? So other than that, I mean, this has, you know, everything that you could want. So yeah, I really like this. You know, people compare this, you know, like to CRV and RAV4. And here's the deal. Compared to CRV, well, this has a real transmission. Just gonna say, I hate CVTs. I know Hyundai uses them in some of their cars, but like at least they don't use them in like stuff like this, right? So that's good. And then aside from the transmission side of things, with Honda, this definitely feels a little bit more techy and a little bit more, I don't know, new, if that makes sense, interior wise. And then when you compare it to Toyota, well, Toyota uses a real transmission with the RAV4, which is a big plus. I think that's where things are like the hardest when it comes to a decision, is this or a RAV4. And yeah, I mean, both naturally aspirated 4-cylinders with like similar packages. Pricing's pretty similar too. I think it would just come down to the style that you like more. This, again, still feels more modern compared to what Toyota has in the RAV4, but let me know which one you guys would pick. That's a tough one. That's gonna set things up with our video on this Tucson. Again, a huge shout out and thank you to the Kangaroo Hyundai here in Southtown, Utah for giving me some time with this Tucson. Check out the M-Tron in the description down below. Ask for Ryan if you have any questions. I'll see ya.